We're doing this broadcast again.
Absolutely. Indeed, it is a broadcast. 3 screens going at the same time. 3 screens going.
My page, her page, and the Marriage Box with Team Lindsay.
Absolutely.
Page. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, my book, please. First of all, we want to thank everybody for taking time to join us on tonight. You know, if you could just tag me in yours, that'll be fine. It'll show up on my page. How about that?
All right.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we always excited every time we get an opportunity to come before you guys in Facebook world, because y'all know ain't nothing like love. We love us some love with the Marriage Box with Team Lindsay. So tonight there is no exception. So we're excited to be here tonight. We're excited because of all the amazing things that's taking place in our lives. We're excited because we just see how God is really, really moving, and there's a whole lot of things going on about love, with love, and love is just in the air, right? So tonight we want to share with all of you making your marriage great. We just want to talk about making your marriage great. And we got the impetus and the motivation for this topic because for the last month, I've just been on a marital enrichment high. I mean, I've attended back-to-back wives empowerment. I did the shout out to Wife Up with Charmaine Carter. We did the Wife Up Sleepover Conference over in New Jersey at the beginning of the month of April. And then just last weekend, we had a super phenomenal time with Wives Empowerment for our Wives Empowerment Weekend, celebrating our very first anniversary. So shout out to Shannon Edie and all my WE sisters for the amazing time we had. Yeah. And needless to say, I came back on a supernatural high as a wife. And I know all my other WE sisters felt the same way, because we all just came back super duper excited, ready to go to work and put in some work and do what it takes to be the best wives we can be for our husbands. And I'm sure the husbands really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. One thing my wife failed to mention, she was actually one of the speakers at the Wives Empower Weekend, and God really used her in a mighty and powerful way. She did a phenomenal job just telling the ladies her story and how essentially just going from tragedy to triumph.
Absolutely.
It was something
to God be the glory. To God be all the glory.
And of course, she wanted me to have a little piece at the end of it. So
yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was just glad to be able to support her and just to see how God birthed that thing through her.
Oh, and that He did. And one day God will release me. You know, as I stated in a post earlier this past week, I said that although my story has yet to be written, there's nothing in this world that will keep me from making sure my story is told. Because I know that there's another woman somewhere in this world who is just like me, who has been through all the things I've gone through, and yet she's on the other side of through. And because love found her, love changed her life. And so somebody needs to know that love is possible. There is real love out there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the only woman in the world, I'm sure, who's experienced what I've experienced, but I can attest to this one fact. Nobody's story is like your story, just like nobody's story is like mine. So we're excited. We really, really are excited here at the Marriage Box. And so we want to talk about making your marriage great. And I want to go ahead and just throw out this disclaimer, because I know that the more and more we continue to work in the venue in terms of doing what God has called us to do with, sharing our life story and our love story about marriage, I want to let it be known we don't claim to be anything other than Highly and Pam.
That's it.
We built the Lindsay love story.
That's it.
We're working each and every day creating our marriage box. And we can only tell you from our space of expertise what we've done, what makes it work for us, because we believe we have a very successful marriage. But we can tell you that our marriage is special because of the work we put in it. It's because of the things that we decide to put into our marriage box. So that's what makes us who we are. That's why we can stand on this platform and say that we are experts in the areas of life, love, and legacy building, because of what we've done, what we've established, and what we've created. So I just want to put that out there. And I also just want to say that for 14 strong years, there has been no greater joy that I found than to be able to wake up with this man. I'm telling you, when I'm not with him, I'm sick. Literally. I'm pitiful. Yes, I am. And he tells me all the time, my baby, I did. Yep. And I tell him, you know what? You're stuck with me because I ain't going nowhere. And he definitely ain't going anywhere. But what makes our marriage great, in my perspective, from my perspective, is because what we're willing to do and what we're not willing to allow to interfere with what we've established. After 14 strong years, there is nothing, there is nobody, there isn't anything that I will, nor will he allow to come in and penetrate what we've built unless it's for our good. We have some things that we've just established in our marriage that we consider our non-negotiables. Love is never on trial. We don't go to bed angry. We don't withhold sex from each other. There's no punishment. I mean, we've heard some stories from some couples over the years about, you know, a man saying he was in the doghouse. I don't even know what the dog.
I don't understand how a man can't sleep in his own bed.
Hello? In a house where I'm sure he's paying for.
If he's paying the bills.
Hello?
He should be sleeping in his own bed. Another thing that I always mess with my wife about, she always talking about, I'm going to get you something real special.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like,
he says, mine.
You can't do it. I paid for it.
Yeah. I always tease him. I said, ooh, baby, I appreciate you. Know I got something real special for you later on. He say, it's mine anyway. It's not a, you acting like it's something I had to earn or it's a gift. No, it's mine.
It's mine.
And he always reminds me, I paid for it.
Yeah. Paid for it, paying for it. Hey. You
Absolutely. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
All right.
And one of the things we learned at our Wise and Power Weekend, thanks to Lady Rose Godluck, shout out to Lady Rose. Don't ever let your man leave the house hungry, ladies, okay? All right? Make sure he stays fed. It's your responsibility to keep him full, spiritually, naturally, emotionally, and most definitely physically and sexually, okay? Put a pin right there. It is your responsibility. That man should never leave the house hungry. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's critical for your marriage success. Critical. So I just took down a few notes, and one of the things, like I had already mentioned, is that what we know helps us stay 14 years strong, helps us keep our marriage great, is what we are committed to doing. There's a non-negotiable clause in the Lindsay's marriage that says love is never on trial. Nothing is that bad that we can't talk about it. And no matter what, this is forever. This is it. This is forever. And we always remind one another, we have forever. We have forever. So a lot of times, I don't care what it could be. We do this thing. My husband and I, we're very, very, I don't know the term. He writes me love letters still today. 14 years later, I get a love letter every single day. And I get an occasional text message a couple times a day or, you know, throughout the week. And you know how we are, you know, especially if you had an amazing time with your husband or your wife, and you know that thing we call it the vault. It stays on your mind, you know. So he'll send me a message and, you know, say something like, "Thank you for the morning coffee. You know, it was awesome." Whatever you want to, and I'll say, "Oh, you know, it's my pleasure. You know, I'm the recipient, so I know it was amazing," and that type of thing. And we just make sure we keep that up. I know people who don't even communicate. I mean, it's one thing that you barely talk to each other at the house, but then God has blessed us with technology. The tool for technology is to be utilized. Use it for its intended purposes.
Understand one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Oftentimes, one of the things that we always say, my wife is the vocalist, I'm the lyricist. So with that being said, you know who does a lot of talking, who don't necessarily do a lot of talking. But when you're the lyricist, wow, you do have those opportunities to put things in perspective, put some thought to it. You send the text messages, you send the emails, because when you do that, there's no stopping. That's right. What you have to say.
Keep it fresh.
They cannot dispute it. It's more or less, okay, this is on the table. Ooh, you gave me something to think about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what's so important. So what we try to do, and because we've done this now for 14 strong years, it's involuntary. It's natural. It's just what we do. And we don't know how to do it any other way. I love this man so much that he is a priority for me. And that's another way we keep our marriage great, keeping one another a priority. I don't care what's going on. I love women in terms of hanging out with my girlfriends and spending time. Like I said, in this month alone, I've gone to 2 wives conferences and wives events, but ain't nothing like being with my man. When I say I may have had a great time with the ladies, getting the empowerment and the enrichment and getting all those amazing tools that I can bring back, but well, nothing better than coming home and being able to implement and demonstrate what I've been experiencing in terms of the enrichment I've received. Because what good is knowledge if it's not applied? And so what we try to do is keep it hot. And I ain't just talking about sex. I'm talking about intellectually stimulating one another, being one another's confidant, being one another's prayer partner, being one another's best friend. If you can't be your spouse's best friend, you already in trouble.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is a person that you eat with, sleep with, do business with, do life with. You have children together in some cases. You better like them.
I'm appreciative to one brother, Gary Pollard, who had taught this particular lesson in Sunday school and talked about how him and his wife Ruth prayed together every day.
That's right.
And it was from that time, now it's been, I say, over 2 years solid now, that every morning, my wife drops me off to the metro before I go to work.
We take time to
pray. It's not to say that we don't pray
right
when we're at home,
right?
But we now take time to pray together. We pray for one another. We pray for our children, the order of the day, that God would meet us wherever we would go. Our families, those that we connect to, business-wise, church-wise, whatever the case may be. But there's nothing like having that unity of prayer. Absolutely.
And it is so, so very critical, because I know for us, a lot of the things, because I am the talker, my husband is the world's best listener. When I say God knew exactly when he designed this man, he truly designed him for me. He's the best listener in the world. So a lot of times, because of the way our lives are, my husband, he gets up and he goes to work, and we have another business. He does a tutoring business. And so sometimes if he tutors in the evenings, when he does finally get in for the evening, it may be around 9 or so. But because I know my husband, I understand him, and I know how to gauge his emotional temperature and his temperament, I know my husband needs his time. So when he comes in from a long, hard day of work, I make sure he's fed his food. And then I let him he has his time to decompress, to chill, to catch up on whatever it is he wants to see on television, whatever it is. But when I pick him up from the metro, we talk. Baby, how was your day? Tell me about what happened today. And then I tell him about what I've done for that, for the day. And then, but typically I know he needs his time.
One thing that's very important that I heard one of the speakers tell the ladies at the Wives Empowered Weekend, it's important to have your me time.
That's right. Absolutely.
A lot of times, the me time rejuvenates you. And when you have the me time to rejuvenate you, then you can be the best thing that you can for your spouse, your children, or whomever you seek you're dealing with.
That's right. Because we want each other whole. We want each other best at our ultimate best. Even if he comes in and he's beat down, tired, he'll tell me about his day. But at the end of the day, one thing that's most important is that if he needs me, if I know he needs me, even if he hadn't expressed it, because as a good wife, she can pick up on that. She knows a man, again, gauging their emotional temperature. You know what their needs are. Then you just take it from there. Also, I wanted to say, one of the things that I think God has done that is, I think what makes us exceptionally different from a lot of couples is everyone who's a friend of ours on Facebook, or if you follow us through the Marriage Box with Team Lindsay, everybody in the world knows that this man right here has no problems with expressing to the world how he feels about his queen, hands down. And I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and I shared with her, she basically was giving us compliments saying, I think it's so wonderful how you and your husband, you guys publicly express how you feel about one another, but most importantly, it's evident that you love each other. One of the young ladies who attended one of our, who was one of the speakers, she shared how she you know, spend some time here visiting with me in my home. And she says, I love their interaction. I love that she calls him daddy. And I do. I love the fact that it's clear that she reverences her husband. I said, absolutely. I learned, I'll be very honest and transparent with you guys. This is my third marriage. Okay? Third. Got married when I was very, very young, 18 years old, didn't know what I was doing. Needless to say, that marriage ended probably before it began. That's another story on another episode. So I got married again, I remarried, and then I became a widow after that. So love found me. And that this is it. Best thing ever happened to me, and here we are. But what I've learned from the experiences I've had is I've learned how to love my man. I've learned how to be the best wife I can possibly be. And one of the things I learned is that as our men, and especially African American men, they've got enough things going on in the world outside of the home. They've got enough things that they've got to be concerned about. Nowadays, it's your actual safety. Just taking into account all the things he's dealing with. He's a preacher. He's a teacher. He's a businessman, a business owner. He's so many things to so many people, a husband, a father. But most importantly, I know for a fact he's got enough external forces going on bombarding him. I need him to know that when you come into this place right here, the Lindsay Manor, the place we've made our home, that you are king, that you are this is your place, baby. You rule here. You, of course, we know God is the ultimate, but he knows he's daddy. That's what he is to me. And so I've asked so many times by so many people, why do you call your husband daddy? I say, well, I'll be honest with you. I got the inspiration to reverence him by calling him daddy when I read that Sarah called Abram Lord. Now we know that Abram was not God, but it was the reverencing of her husband in that manner. It was just indicative of how she felt. So in our culture, I know it's cute when folks say they call him Big Daddy and all that. I know he ain't my daddy, but he's my daddy. And I do that because I reverence him in all of who he is. That's my thing. Somebody else may do something different. You know, hats off to you. Everybody has their thing. But the conversation was that because of the fact that we as wives, a lot of us take that for granted. We take that for granted that this is what he may need. I don't think he needs you to tell him you sorry or why you don't do this. So he don't need you to nag. Sometimes they just need us to be quiet and just build them up. Just build them up. Affirm them. Let them know the things about them that you absolutely love. And let them know, baby, you are it. You're my everything. Because that's what he is for me.
But also, brothers, you know, one thing that I've learned, women, well, one of the things that I've learned is this: you should praise and affirm yourself first.
Absolutely. And
then your spouse. Because there are going to come some times, as much as I know this beautiful lady loves the socks and anything else I wear, there are times where I rock her nerves. There are times where she rock my nerves.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, there are times where you just have to tell yourself, man, you're a good man. Baby, you're a good wife. But when it comes from your spouse, and again, it goes back to what she says about external forces going out in the world, especially now with this beautiful, ugly thing we call social media.
Beautiful, ugly indeed.
It's beautiful in the sense that you're able to connect with people that you never laid eyes on. It gives you an opportunity to make business connections and do a lot of great things, connect with classmates you ain't seen in 20, 30 years. But then there's sometimes where if you use it for the wrong, you burn the beautiful thing that you have, which is your marriage or your relationship. I find it as a great tool and mechanism because of the fact that I know my wife. I know that a lot of times she's wants to spend her time on Facebook. So because of that, there comes those periodic times where out of the blue, like, you know, they say WCW, Women Crush Wednesday. I'll put a WCW post up there, and it could be a song that's on my head. It could be a memory that popped up, and you say, you know what, that was a lot of fun, and I look forward to more of it. So you have to find those times, those mechanisms, those things again, like she had said earlier, as far as me writing a love letter, sending her texts. I do that because, for one, I've been doing it for so long.
Absolutely. 14 years, y'all.
So one thing I tell her is that when I stop messing with you,
we got a problem.
Something's wrong.
We got a problem.
So at the end of the day, it's important to me that I stay consistent. And that's another major thing, y'all. When you want to make your marriage great, you got to be consistent.
That's right.
Now, a lot of times where you will start doing something 5 years in,
they got comfortable, baby. They got complacent.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Guess what? He don't need that anymore.
The devil is a liar.
Guess what? Yes, he does.
Stops. That's right.
Yes, she does.
Never stops. Never
so
stops.
I realized that it's like a dose of medicine. If I'm expecting her to stay white healthy, I need to make sure I give her a dose of medicine in the form of stop. And of course, well, all my married couples, you know that you need to do that too. But in the sense of stroking her ego, letting her know, Bible says that a wife ought to be a crown to her husband's head.
That's right.
And not thorn to his flesh.
That's right.
But brothers, if she's going to be that crown, then you got to make sure, it's an analogy I used in Tampa last year. And what I told him was, you have a crown, but if you want that crown to stay pretty, you have to go grab a rag, go grab whatever the cleaner is, and polish that thing. So you have to take time to polish your wife. Polish her in the love of God, first and foremost. Polish her in love in general. Polish her in the sense of, hey, babe, what is that you need? Polish her in knowing and making her aware and keeping her in line to know that she is numero uno.
That's right.
Now, one of the things that I realize about myself, as my wife had mentioned, businessman, preacher of the gospel, teacher. There are a lot of times I made myself late to things because I'm doing what I can to take care of home first. Prime example, yesterday, we were cleaning. We got up with the mentality to clean our bedroom. I got up early with the mentality of, okay, she had an event to go vend at. I was gonna pack, get situated, go get my shape up, go do my business. Time got away from me. But ultimately, I made sure house was situated before I left. And sometimes you have to make that's what makes me. You have to make sacrifices.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it might not be time convenient for yourself and what you gotta do, but you gotta make sacrifices because those sacrifices, again, affirms to your spouse.
Absolutely, that you matter.
That you're important.
That's exactly right. That's a very good point, because I know a lot of time, especially for us as women, you know, we have our ways. We are pretty much, we're emotional creatures. You know, our God designed us that way. And a lot of times we are so very quick to react. And that's our nature. Emotionally, we react. And we react sometimes not always in a favorable manner. I know for me, I can speak personally that in the beginning of our marriage, because I was such a bitter woman, I was hurt, I was confused, I was unsure, I didn't feel I was deserving of a love like this. I'm like, okay, here I go again. I know he promised me this time it will be different. I had a lot of apprehensions and fears. I knew I loved him. Oh, that, it was no question. I knew I loved him. I knew I wanted to be with him, but at that time, because of where I was in the space in my life, I just didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like, I don't know. I was going through so much. Because of that, it's real easy for us ladies to bring in our emotional luggage, our emotional baggage, and allow it to dictate our attitude. And it's so very important that you understand, if you treat your man right, If you do what you know you need to do, trust me, the law of reciprocity will kick in. It's going to happen because it's the way God designed it to happen. It's nothing wrong with you doing something because it's the right thing to do. Don't wait till you feel like doing it, because sometimes that'll never come. You can't wait till you feel good. Oh Lord, I just don't feel like oh well, do it anyway. You know why? Because you made a commitment. You made a commitment to do whatever it takes to keep your marriage great. And sometimes that means doing what you have to do. I had a phenomenal conversation today with our daughter, who's 28, who I believe is one of the most impressive millennials of this generation. She has knowledge beyond years. She's just a phenomenal person to just, provide ideas and get feedback from a millennial's perspective. So in sharing with her, we were discussing our topic for tonight for this edition of here on the Marriage Box with Team Lindsay. And I shared with her, one of the things that prompted us to wanting to do this was because we see so many couples that when there's conflict in the relationship, everybody knows it. When there's issues going on, they wear it on their countenance. They wear it in the way they act towards one another. They wear it in how they talk to one another. It's just real. And I said, and I think for me, what hurts more than anything is from a woman's perspective. First of all, God said the man is the head, first and foremost. It doesn't mean that you're at his footstool or he's stomping over you or mistreating you. That's not what God meant. But there is a law of order in the way things are done. And I think for some of us as women, we don't know the order. We just don't get it. And that's the reason why we try to assert authority over our husbands. And that's why there's so much conflict. Ain't nothing wrong, my sisters. I'm going to speak directly to the women tonight from my heart. There's nothing wrong with you saying, okay, I'll think about it. I'll pray about it. I understand. In other words, there's nothing wrong with you sometimes just letting it be for the sake of keeping your marriage healthy and not always wanting to be right. That's the issue we have so many times. We are so desperate to be right. What's wrong with taking the L every now and then? And I ain't talking about a loss. I'm talking about the L being for love or letting it be a lesson. Do you rather be in love or you rather be right? Because some of us are going to the depths, challenging our spouses because we're just we got to be right. Well, what is that right going to cost you? You want to be right and be alone? And then you can say, well, at least I was right. I proved my point. Who are you proving it to? This isn't your competition. This isn't your opponent.
It shouldn't be.
Well, it's not.
Right. I totally agree. But
the
point I'm making is it shouldn't be.
That's right.
The two became one.
Absolutely.
So if the two became one, when did the one become two again?
Yes.
One of the things that we had talked about some while back with conflict resolution, we talked about the word collaboration. But then there's sometimes you have to use the word compromise. You can't always win. That goes both ways. There's sometimes where you have, as my wife said, take the L. There's sometimes where you have to know when to say we. There are a lot of times where, again, as you see, my wife talks, and I'm minimal, but I talk when I need to. And there have been times where there was some stuff that was said, and because of the fact that I wanted to keep things healthy as could be, it wasn't a point of me like, okay, cool.
That's right.
No big thing.
That's right.
And sometimes, guys, we prideful, strong, bigger than anything men have to know. Cool. Okay. You're right, babe.
It's okay to take the L.
All right. You're right.
But that L is for love and for a lesson. It's all good. It's all good. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be right. Because if hurting you is what right is, then I'd rather be wrong. I don't want to hurt the one I love. And a lot of times we don't know no better. But that's why they say when you do know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. You have to try. But my thing is, I don't want to be the one responsible for causing him to feel anything outside of ultimate love, joy, happiness. I want to be the one that makes him smile. I want to be the one that every time he sees me, there's a quickening or he feels something. Like I tell him, baby, when I see you, I get butterfly. I still get butterfly 14 years in. When he writes me those letters, he writes me a love letter every single day. And the minute I go to click on that email because, oh, here's my letter for the day, I start to smile. And sometimes when I get those text messages, oh, they definitely make me smile because that's what brings me joy. He took time to do that. The fact that he thought enough of me to stop whatever he was doing in his busy day to write me, that speaks volumes. Now, as the recipient of all that love, what do you think I'm going to do in return? How can I be a woman walking around bitter? How can I actually have an attitude? How can I be around here trying to be in charge when you got a man laying love on you like that? So when it comes to what do you have to do to make your marriage great? Number one, ladies, we stand down and we allow this man to be the man that God has called him to be. And even if you know in the depths of your soul that there's some things inside of him that are not quite where you think they should be, keep your mouth shut and pray about it. Because you can't change it anyway. I don't know if you know that, but you have no power to change a man. No, you don't. But what you can do is pray for him and love on him and then watch God work. Watch God work. Because I trust and believe, just like you are finding that there may be things inside of your spouse that you're uncomfortable with or you're unhappy, I'm sure he feels the same way about you too. But because he loves you and because he didn't mind taking the L, he didn't necessarily have to be right. He just wanted to go ahead and let you know, I love you enough not to say anything, but instead I'm going to pray about it. And that is to be commended. Because what happens is when we show them in return how much they mean to us, when we show them how much we respect them, we reverence them, and we give them what they need to be all that God called them to be, and that means in every way, ladies, what you think happens in return? They appreciate the fact that you've elevated them, that you've edified them, that you've affirmed and reverenced them, and they're going to keep being all they can be and then some to make you happy. So, ladies, it's a win-win. Trust me, it is. Take it from a woman who knows. I get love on top all day, every day, and then some, and then some, and then some. So there isn't anything I would do for this man because he is so very good to me. There's no challenges here in this relationship. He's in charge. It's that simple.
Thank you. One thing that we have to focus on that I have listed here to make your your marriage great. We know our respective strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely.
So we need to really be respectful of those strengths and weaknesses.
That's true.
And we need to, and again, brothers, because we're the head, don't always mean we have to be the head of everything. Don't necessarily mean that our hands have to be in everything. It just means that we're still ultimately responsible for our wives and our children and those that we have dominion, leadership, etc., etc. But, prime example, my wife has no problem. We're out and about, and she's buying a load of stuff. It's 6, it's 7, it's 8. What does that come up to? So I add it up fairly quick because I'm doing those. So I do that. Thank you. And then on the flip side of that, babe, when's the such and such do? She has the bills down on lock. Not to say that I couldn't, but I'm thankful to know that God gave me somebody that can. And I have no issues in allowing her to operate in her strength.
Amen.
And guys, we have to know how to allow our wives to operate in their strengths. Ladies, you gotta allow your man, your husband, your king to operate in his strengths.
Yeah. And the reason we are so good at that is because in the beginning of our relationship, we made our expectations known. We sat down and we talked. I told him who I was. I told him, you have never been married to Pamela that Pamela before. I was Pamela Barnes. You've never been married to Pamela Barnes before. I'm about to become Pamela Lindsay, but let me tell you who Pamela Barnes is. And let me tell you what she may be as a wife. So there's no surprises. There's no blindsiding. He's going to know exactly, well, 15, 25,000 years into this marriage, it won't come as a surprise to him when I tell him, oh, by the way, I am a workaholic. I kind of like going real hard. I'm a goal-getter. I mean, really a goal and a go-getter. That's me. That's what I like to do. So perhaps if you want a stay-at-home wife who basically doesn't have any aspirations outside of the home, I may not be the right woman for you. But I told him, I said, sweetheart, I'm the woman who will go out and make sure we have everything we need. I'm going to be your partner. I'm going to match you in terms of going out here grinding for our family and helping us build a legacy. That's what I know I'm very good at. But I told him that from the beginning. So 14 years in, it didn't come as a surprise to him when he found out he married an entrepreneur, a woman who was not afraid of going out building an empire, whatever it takes, because that's just what I love to do. So it was no surprise. Just like I knew my husband was a man who was about his business in terms of there's nothing that comes from before his Lord and Savior, this ministry, our family, and him and his passion for education. It didn't come as a surprise to me when he decided to launch a tutoring business, because that's his passion. But I knew this from the start, and we respect each other. Just like he said, we knew one another's strengths, so nothing came as a surprise. Nothing. And we expect one another to still operate in the home, in the marriage, but we also respect one another in the areas in which we know this is what we do. But collaboratively, we support one another. We are both each other's #1 fans. But when we come together, we're unstoppable. What's my song? Give me a second. I got it. This is my song. I'm a movement by myself, but I know we're a force when we're together. It's that simple. Oh, so I'm gonna go over my last thing I had on here about you cannot change what you're not willing to confront. So I want to just leave this. Some people realize that you've got some underlying issues in your marriage. And I don't know if you think just by not talking about it, it'll go away, or kicking it under the rug, it'll go away, or keep putting makeup on that thing and it'll just look cute. But when you get home, you got to take the makeup off and the reality sets in. I encourage you to talk about it. Really, just talk about it. Communication is so powerful in order to make your marriage great. You got to talk about it. You got to express. Believe it or not, I know you guys think your mates are super bad. I think mine is the bomb.com. But as great as he is, he's not a mind reader. God didn't give him that. And as close as he is to God's heart, God didn't give him the ability to know exactly what Pam wants unless Pam tells him. Because Pam has to open up and say, I think we need to talk about this because this is something I'd like to do, or this is something I'd like for us to strive, or this is something I'd like for us to work on or talk about, whatever it is. Or I'm upset because this happened. How in the world is he supposed to know? Now, he's very good with understanding my love languages. He's the expert at that. And he knows how to, read my emotional temperature, engage me just right. But as far as really knowing what's going on the inside, how I feel, I have to tell him. So please know you will not change what you're not willing to confront. So if you know your marriage is right now good and you wanted to go from good to great, you're going to have to be willing to remember some of the things we've discussed tonight. Mm-hmm. Not be so right. It's okay not to be right. Take the L and just take the L as a lesson because you're working on your love. Stop seeing it as a bad thing. You don't have to be right, but you do want to stay in love, and that's what matters. Also, remember what he said, knowing one another's strengths. Because when you know one another's strengths, your expectations can't be, I can't expect him to do something that's, here's a prime example. My husband is a phenomenal businessman, husband, go-getter, preacher, but my husband ain't cutting no grass. He ain't cutting no grass. And he told me that I make too much money. I'll pay somebody. Hey, we ain't knocking no men who cut your grass. That's phenomenal.
Bad man.
That's all right. Do your thing. Exactly. But my husband made clear to me, I'll pay somebody. Okay, I respect that. So I cannot trip if my grass needs cutting and my husband not cutting, because now I know he's gonna call up our lawn service man and say, Come on, cut the grass. Those little things. But I know there's some people who will let that, what I call a meatball, turn to a steak because you just didn't confront it. Mm-hmm. So trust me, nothing's going to change if you're not willing to confront the issues. Mm-hmm. I really encourage you guys to do that because love is such a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. So powerful when two people come together and willing to work to make it right. So powerful.
All right, got a couple of other good things here. And
good things. I like good things.
Make it your business to listen to your spouse.
He's the best at that.
Verbal and non-verbal.
That's good. That's real good. Real good.
Make it your business to listen to your spouse. Verbal and non-verbal. One of the greatest lessons I've learned in the various trainings I've attended is that nonverbal communication is 2/3 of legitimate communication.
Wow.
You can sit there and say, "Hey, baby, how you?" I'm fine. Are you gonna believe that? Mm-mm. But if you say, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" I'm good. I'm doing real good. That's a little more believable. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of times where you have those communications with your spouses, and you will find them, and you'll talk. Okay, BS. Mm-hmm. I felt all of that stuff.
Wasn't authentic.
And I know you. Great example. My wife had wanted me to do something for her. And she had made mention, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Brothers, if you hear you don't have to do it if you don't want to, cue, emotional cue, nonverbal cue, she wants you.
Yeah, kind of sort of.
So, and she texted me this. So, because of my experience with my wife, I tell all the time, I read the book, I wrote the book, and I'm editing the book.
Okay.
On her.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that we have 14 strong years of relationship and marriage. So you learn a lot of things. You pay attention to a lot of things in short order. So because of that non-verbal, that was verbal in the text, I knew. I said, babe, don't worry. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And it'll be all right. Ladies, in the same vein, because we as brothers are so prideful at times, we're not going to always spill our guts. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you have to pray to God and use your lady intuition. Be like, all right, what's really going on? Mm-hmm. What's really going on? I know you heard me, but what's really going on?
Exactly.
So
what you're not saying.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Make room for surprises.
Ooh, woo.
Make room for surprises. There are a lot of times where I love Anita Baker. Anita Baker is one of my all-time favorites. Well, more importantly, it's one of my wife and my daughter's all-time favorites. So, Lord have mercy. You get on a road trip with them, they cue off some Anita Baker, it's all over but the pine. But in any case, Anita Baker had a song called Same Old Love. Do you really want the same old love? In certain aspects you do. You want to be consistent, but not the same old thing. You don't want Valentine's Day to come around and he puts on the same black suit. You put on the same red dress.
Yeah, you can go out.
Yeah, you go to the same restaurant. You do the same old thing. That gets tired after a while.
Absolutely.
In the midst of, we're wrong, love making, you do the same old position. Oh, I mean, now if it's your favorite position, that's always a different call. But there's sometimes where you have to add a little spice. Mm-hmm. You have to bring a couple of surprises into the mix. Shout out to White Love and Wives on Power Weekend. Or teaching those aspects.
Amen.
So you gotta make room for surprises because those are very important. One last thing, and we're gonna call it a night. Keep God at the forefront of your mind.
Absolutely, positively.
All the things that we mentioned to you all tonight are awesome. They're fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a godly family, a godly couple, you have to keep God at the forefront of your marriage.
Absolutely.
Bible makes mention that there's nothing like a 3-4-4 cord.
That's right.
It's not easily broken. So if there's me, there's her, and there's God. That's a 3-4 cord. But once you start taking God out of it, is when the devil can come in.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's important to pray. That's why it's important to read your word together. That's why it's important to have good, healthy conversation. Sometimes even challenging them. Hey, you really sure this is what God is saying to you?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's important to have those conversations.
That's right.
But most importantly, it's important to maintain God at the forefront of your marriage. Maintain God at the forefront of your own life.
That's right.
Because when God is in your life, there are going to come seasons where your spouse is going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes when they hurt, you know what they say, hurt people hurt people. But if you don't have no God in you, then you're going to allow that hurt to really come into you, absorb that, and you don't get to really make it happen and make things count. But when you realize that God is the center of everything, then the stuff that they say, yeah, it's going to hurt. But guess what you can do?
Right.
You can rub it off.
That's it.
So it's important to keep God in the forefront of you, in the forefront of your marriage.
Because the goal is do whatever it takes to make your marriage great. We don't want to give the enemy any more marriages. And when I say give them to him, I mean it. Because I don't think there's anything that's happened unto man that God won't forgive. Because God has already told us, if he's forgiven us for so much mess, oh my God, but we are here judge and jury for our spouses. I've heard so many people, I just couldn't take it no more. I just couldn't put up with him no more. Excuse me?
What's up with you?
He put up with you, and so does our God. So I just encourage all of you who will view this, either now or the replay, to just do an assessment of what you got. Do an assessment and ask yourself, am I doing everything I can to make this everything it can be? And if you don't believe you are, you need to go to work. You got some work to do. Just remember, it's up to you to make it great. And there's nothing wrong with you going the extra mile, because remember, it's for the one you love. And take advantage of all the tools, all the resources, all the tips. And that's one of the wonderful, beautiful things that you'll find on social media. We are honored that we've been asked to be a part of an incredible event that's coming up this week, right on Facebook. May the 3rd through the 5th. You can go to couplesfestvirtualsummit.com and register. Get you a seat right in your home. You can sit right at home.
Don't have to go anywhere.
But you can sign up for this amazing 3-day virtual summit. We've got about 20 experts in the field of love, marriage, relationship, going from single to second chances, you name it. There'll be something for everybody. Please tune in. We'll be there actually being these expert speakers on Friday at 6 o'clock. Friday at 6 o'clock. But you must register. It's couplefestvirtualsummit.com. And tonight, we cannot end this night without giving a shout out. Yeah, that's right. Always Marvelous is responsible for our gear.
Yeah.
Phenomenal Christian apparel. Shout out to Juan and Sylvester Rollins.
Yeah.
They are the CEOs and founders of this incredible company. And he says his wife is his ministry of love. Isn't that beautiful? And our shirts that we're rocking on tonight mine says that my marriage is my ministry And my husband, and I am my husband's keeper, excuse me.
Yeah.
And of course, he says that his marriage is his ministry and he's his wife's
keeper.
Yeah, that's right. So shout out to them for blessing us with these wonderful t-shirts here. And we are definitely rocking their brand and we support them. And we encourage you to go to Always Marvelous on Facebook and get you some apparel too, because they have a lot of awesome stuff for couples and just some nice apparel, period. Always representing something positive about the God we serve. So thank you so much for tuning in. Always, you know, we love you guys. So leave us some comments, send us some messages. Let us know how you feel. Let us know what you want to talk about. And stay tuned, because during the month of the entire month of May, we're going to be talking about marriage, because marriage is May is our month of marriage, and we've got some phenomenal guest speakers who will be joining us each Sunday at 9 o'clock, same place, right wherever you are. Tune in, grab your booth, get your popcorn, you know, come on in and join us, because you know we love all things love, and we just want to talk about love, because at the end of the day, we want to take these Lindsay love stories that we've experienced and help you create your marriage box. Okay. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. We love you guys.
All right.
Good night.